And let's go to Mike on this. It's really language and words that lead to action on the part of the agitators on the ground. When you're telling them to film, to track, and calling this an invasion, Mike, that comes pretty close to incitement. And one would think you get text messages and you get emails, and the story might actually get a lot spicier for them.
Yeah, under the Constitution, our U.S. Congress writes our immigration laws on behalf of the American people. Congress decides who gets to come and who has to go, and the president has a constitutional duty to enforce those federal immigration laws. That is the supreme law of the land, and these local governors, these local mayors cannot interfere with federal immigration enforcement. That is not only is it assaults on federal law enforcement, you're looking at insurrection and seditious conspiracy, along with harboring, conspiracy in general, and many other serious federal felonies when you are inciting people to commit violent acts to physically obstruct federal law enforcement. So I would say to Governor Walz and to Mayor Frey, you better back down or you're going to end up in federal prison.
Yeah, so there's a lot of movement here because on the one hand, you hear Walz and sometimes Frey say things like, you know, don't take the bait, don't give them the moment they want. And so they try to kind of say, be careful. Even Ilhan Omar today, you know, said, essentially don't throw things at agents. But then in the next breath, it's track, follow, invasion. These are, tactics of an authoritarian. So it's a bit of a murky legal analysis, but the investigation itself, again, I would imagine would elicit a lot more evidence if the government really wants to go this route.
Boy, she's really going out on a limb by saying don't throw things at agents. Wow, what a peacemaker she is. Look, people should listen to what Mike just said. A lot of this activity, take a look at, I encourage everybody to take a look at Title 10 United States Code, Section 253. If Trump wanted to, if you look at the language of that statute, he could invoke the Insurrection Act. It would be a very, very controversial move. But certainly if you look at the language of that statute, which talks about preventing any combination or conspiracy that obstructs the laws of the United States and enforcement of the laws of the United States, and the president gets to make that determination, it's not even completely clear whether or not that would be subject to judicial review. So in one sense, he's actually potentially diffusing the situation by just investigating 2 public servants for obstruction. People need to be need to be very careful. You know, President Trump is blessed by his enemies sometimes.
Yeah, and we're going to post the entire 10 USC 331 to 335 for people to read for themselves, and they'll see the statute's terms and why this certainly seems to a lot of people, given this sustained violence and interruption, interference with the lawful duties that these ICE agents are carrying out. Yeah. Man, I mean, it would seem to be kind of in many ways, picture perfect for invoking the Insurrection Act. Yeah. Yet, Mike, President Trump today seemed to maybe signal that he was leaning against the Insurrection Act. Watch this.
It's been used a lot. And if I needed it, I'd use it. I don't think there's any reason right now to use it. But if I needed it, I'd use it. It's very powerful.
Those are the wrong numbers,
Mike, it hasn't been invoked in what?
I need to say.
Go ahead. What?
It's 251. It's 10 U.S.C. 251 through 255. Yeah.
Got it. Sorry, I'm looking for the other parts of the authority. Go ahead, Mike.
I would say this to Governor Tim Walz and to Mayor Jacob Frey. President Trump is trying to give you an off-ramp here. You should take the off-ramp. We do not want to turn Minneapolis into Mogadishu. Let's not have another Black Hawk Down situation. Take the off-ramp and don't escalate this where President Trump has to invoke the Insurrection Act and has to nationalize, federalize the Minnesota National Guard or send in active duty troops to clean up the mess that Governor Walz and Mayor Frey have caused.